So today I am going to give you a tour of the cockatiel's cage. I've deliberately done it while they're out of the cage, just so that they don't feel unsettled or so I'm not disturbing them while they're in there. So here's the cage. First of all, you'll probably notice that there's a piece of organza fabric over the top, and you're probably wondering what that's for, so I'll explain what that's for. So if I remove this, well, I just lift it up like that and I tuck it in there, and once I do that, you will notice that there are actually no bars on the front of the cage at the top half. The bars just start there, and the only reason that's there really is just to make sure that the dogs don't jump into the cage. So the cage originally did have bars that went all the way up, but I chose to remove them. It's just personal preference, because personally, as a bird owner, I just like the idea of them being able to come in and out of the cage as they please, and that's exactly what they do. So they'll go in the cage if they want a drink, they'll go in the cage if they want food or rest, and then the rest of the time they're free to just roam about as they want. So the only time really that I put this fabric down is if I need them for some particular reason to stay in, such as if my windows are open, or I need to open the doors, or I've got lots of people coming and going and the doors are slamming, or I've got work going on in the house. So that's the only time really, and they know that when that's down, that means that they need to stay in, and they do, so it works. Okay, so this is their water. I think I've explained in a previous video, I used to previously put their water in this bowl here, but the problem that I was finding is they would sit on there and then they would do a poo in the water and then drink it, which I wasn't keen on. So now I've changed it to this, so they can sit on there and drink the water in there, and they can't actually do a number 2 in there because it's just too small. So that's the water. The reason that I put this here at this end of the cage is just so it's easy for me to change it, because I change it a couple of times a day. You might also be wondering, if you look really carefully, the water's slightly yellow, and the reason it's slightly yellow, it is fresh, trust me, it's because I've put vitamin drops that are specific for birds in the water, and they're yellow, so it stains the water a little bit, but I'll show you the drops in a minute. Next we've got this. I bought it as a bird bath, but they don't like using it as a bird bath, so all I've done is just fill it with some nesting material for them to play with if they want. Sometimes they'll just sit on there and play with it when they feel like it. Next we've got their seeds and grains. So that one is the one that Queen particularly likes because it's not got sunflower seeds in it. This one has got sunflower seeds in it, and this is the one that Gaylord likes, so they tend to have their own preferences. And then this one in the middle is lots of dried fruits and vegetables and nuts that are all safe for birds. So you can see there's banana chips in there, dried cranberry, Brazil nuts, pineapple, papaya, bits of flaked coconut, there's some carrot there, you can see that. So they quite enjoy that. And then we've just got a treat stick here, which is seeds and grains that are kind of, I guess, glued together with honey. And there's another one here, so that they don't have to share if they don't want to. If they both want to eat at the same time, they can do that. Next, in this tiny little bowl here, this dish, we have grit. Now I know some people like to put the grit at the bottom of the cage, which is perfectly fine to do that. Personal preference is just I find it easier to clean up if I put it in there, because it makes a lot less of a mess and I'm not sweeping up as much. So that's why that's there. Obviously we've got the 3 perches here that are wooden perches, and then you'll notice that I've got a different coloured perch here. So this one, it's like pumice stone basically, and the reason why I've got this perch, it's quite rough, so when they sit on it, it files down their claws for them. So that's really good, I recommend that. You can also get like sandpaper that's rolled into a tube, and you can line your perches with it. I've never tried that, but I think it sounds like a good idea. Next I've got these little toys here, just to keep them stimulated, so they spin around and, you know, they can explore. You can also put, if I can grab it, you can put food in that tube there, so that there you go, there's a little bit of food in there, so that it just encourages their natural foraging instincts, so they like that. And then I've got another one here, and similarly you can put little bits of treats and fruit and cucumber and carrots and things in there, and they'll go in there and look for it and forage. And then these are like, you see, that's a bell and rattles and things like that. So that's just for them to keep themselves entertained. And then here we've got cuttlefish, and that's really good for them because it gives them calcium, I believe. And then this is an iodine block, and they love, you can see where they've nibbled at that. And that's also really good for them. So I just hook that on there like so they enjoy that. Okay, so next thing we have here, you'll be thinking, what on earth is that a box there for? Is it for a nest? No, it's not for a nest. So as you'll see inside, it's got some millet, which I've attached with a peg. The reason why is because millet is very, very messy. Like it flakes, there look, it flakes very easily. You can see all that, yeah, it comes to pieces very, very easily. And what I was finding is if I was pegging it onto the side of the cage, when they were eating it, half of the millet was being lost because it was dropping down there, and it was just making a big mess on the floor. And then the dogs were trying to lick the millet off the floor, so it was just a big disaster. So now I put it in there, and whenever they eat it, what comes off, they can still eat off the bottom here, and they're not wasting it, and it makes less mess on the floor. So that's why that's there. I've attached it with these cage hooks here, these cage pegs, and that's quite secure. I can take it out when I want to wash it. It's just a little nifty idea that I came up with myself, really. I'm quite pleased with it. Next we've got some more toys here, so just a bell again that I've attached on with a peg, another one here for them to play with, another bell here, and then I've got another cuttlefish here. They've done a little plop on that, so I need to clean that in a second. And then I've got this other perch here, so let me show you this perch. This one comes out, and this is the one that I use when I'm stick training. I've done a stick training video with Gaylord, but if I want to put the birds in, all I have to do is go up to them, place the stick next to them, they'll step onto the stick, and then I just carry them across the kitchen and place them gently into the cage. They're not fully hand tamed yet, which is why I can't just call them or pick them up by hand because they're still a little bit nervous. So that's why I'm doing it by stick. But I'm hoping that eventually, once they're fully like hand tamed, that I won't need to use that. So at the minute it's doubling up. We use it as a perch in there, but I also use it when I need to put the birds back in the cage. Now these ladders here, you might be wondering why they are there. I'll explain. So when I first got Queen, she wasn't very good at climbing. I think she just lacked strength. So she couldn't get from the bottom up onto one of the perches because the gap between these bars here was just too high for her. She couldn't manage it. So I put these ladders in place. So she used to climb up from the bottom there, up that one, up the second one, onto that one, and then onto here, and then onto here, and then onto here. So that's why that's there, but she doesn't actually need it anymore, but I've left it there anyway, just in case they want to play with it. And then at the bottom, you might be wondering what that is. Okay, so that is basically just a puppy pad. I'll show you. So I actually get these for the dogs because if I do nip out to the supermarket or running errands, and it's rare that I don't take the dogs with me, but if it is an occasion where I can't take the dogs, I'll let them out for a wee in the garden just before I go out, but then I will also just pop one of these down on the floor just in case they need a number 1 or a number 2 while I'm out, and they're very good. They will only go on there. Usually they'll wait until I get back because I'm never out for long. But I always like to just put that down just in case they need to go. So I had a box full of these and I thought, I wonder if they'll fit in the bottom of the bird cage. And sure enough, they do. So when I need to change that, all I have to do is just lift it up like that, fold it up and throw it away. Now, just to be mindful, these are unscented. You can also get the scented ones, which are fine for dogs, but very, very dangerous for birds. So don't put anything scented, like scented candles or fragrances or those plug-in fragrance infuser thingamybobs. Can't use any of that because the fumes are really dangerous. And also here I have got some non-stick Teflon type frying pans. You can't use those around your birds unless you have got one of these. This is an air purifier. So if I am cooking with the Teflon, the problem is when that heats up, it gives off fumes and it can be toxic to birds. So I run that at the same time and that purifies the air. And because it's actually a really big room, it's all all open plan, so the fumes aren't concentrated enough, so they're fine, but be very, very careful with non-stick stuff once it's heated up. Anyway, I digress. Finally, you're probably wondering what this is. This is just a peg bag that I used to have in my laundry room, but I seem to need the pegs a lot more for attaching bits and bobs onto the bird cage, so I use the pegs for that. So I just thought I'll put the peg bag there because it makes it handy for me. The birds haven't started nibbling it yet, so we've been lucky, but they might decide to at some point. And then I'll show you what's in here. So these are just storage boxes with their things in. So this is nesting material that I'd put in the bird bath for them to play and forage with. This is the grit that was in the small tub. Grit is really good for them. You might think, what's the point of grit? It's actually meant to help them with their digestion. So they do eat it, they swallow it, they seem to quite like it. They don't have very much, but they do have it. These are the vitamin drops. So every day, twice a day, when I change the water, I literally just pop a drop of that in and they're good to go. I don't even think they can taste it. I'm not really sure, but it says a complimentary feeding stuff to help promote and maintain good health. So, because neither of them were in particularly good nick when I got them. So that's how. Now you're probably wondering, what on earth are these for? So I've got a bottle of lemon juice that doesn't need to be refrigerated and some distilled white vinegar. And the reason is, this is what I do with them. So if you come over here, I've got a spray bottle, just bought an empty spray bottle, and I mix half the lemon juice and half the vinegar into here. And this is what I use to clean my kitchen. I do not use any other kind of chemical disinfectants or sprays. I even use this on my floor. It's a brilliant degreaser. The reason why I don't use chemical sprays is because they're very, very toxic, the fumes, and it can kill your birds. So this is my safe, homemade, very cheap, ozone friendly kitchen cleaner, and I highly recommend it. It works a treat, it smells really fresh, and you know that your birds are going to be all right. So that's the first box, and then we've got one more box here, so I'll show you what's in this one. Here we are. So in this box we have basically all the food, so let me talk you through the food. So this is their fruit, nut and veg mix, which is basically dried fruit. The reason why I give them dried is because I've tried them on fresh and they won't have it. They do not like it. I don't know why, they're just fussy birds, so I just get the dry one, which in a way is kind of better because it's a bit more convenient and there's less waste. Oh, they love this. This is their millet. I keep this in a bag like this because it is very messy. The grains go everywhere, as you can see. They're there in the bottom of the box. So there's their millet. They usually get through one a day between them. So yeah, they like that. This is their cockatiel mix. Gaylord really, really, really likes the sunflower seeds. He loves them. So what I sometimes do is mix a few of those extra sunflower seeds into that, and he is a very, very happy boy. So there you go. That's a tour of the cockatiel's house, which they don't spend that much time in. Like I say, sometimes they'll sleep in there, but more often than not, they'll sleep on top of the kitchen cupboards. But you see where they eat, their dining area, their foraging area, their treats, their play area, and all of their equipment is here. And as you can see, they're very happy, just chilling out up there. Sometimes they'll sleep there, like I say, sometimes they'll sleep in the cage. I give them pretty much free rein, just personal choice really. Everyone has their own decisions of what they do with the pets. I mean, I know some people, you know, will clip the wings of the birds, and there's no right or wrong. Some people think that will keep them safe because they can't escape, which makes sense because Gaylord was actually found in my dad's back garden, so he did belong to somebody else. We tried to look for the owner, but nobody came forward for him. So had his wings been clipped, obviously the previous owners wouldn't have lost him. So there's arguments for and against. And similarly, in terms of the open cage policy, there's no right or wrong, it's personal preference. I just think, what's the point of having a bird if you're going to keep it cooped up in a cage all the time. So you've just got to make what decision you think is right for you and for your lifestyle and for your pets. But that's how I kind of look after my cockatiels, and yeah, and they seem pretty happy and healthy. So there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you found it helpful. Bye for now.